The red sand of Mars swirled in the artificial atmosphere of Colony 1. It was humanity's proudest achievement, the first permanent settlement beyond Earth. 5,000 people called it home. Children born on Mars would never know the feel of Earth's gravity. This was the future everyone had worked toward. Admiral William Carter stood at the viewport of his quarters, watching the sunset paint the landscape in shades of crimson. The experimental warship U.S. Defiant sat in its dock nearby, a testament to humanity's growing reach into space. The ship represented the peak of human engineering, though it was built for exploration, not war. Humanity had never encountered another intelligent species. They believed they were alone. They were wrong. The first sign came as a flicker on the long-range sensors. Officer Ben Miller noticed it during his routine scan of the outer system. "Sir, I'm picking up something unusual," he called to Admiral Carter. "Multiple objects approaching from beyond Neptune's orbit. They're moving too fast for asteroids." Carter frowned. "Natural phenomenon." "No, sir. The trajectories keep changing. They're under power." Within hours, the objects resolved into ships, vessels of designs no human had ever seen. Their hulls gleamed with an iridescent material unknown to Earth science. They moved with impossible grace, as if the laws of physics bent around them. Colony 1 sent standard greeting messages on all frequencies. They received no response. Admiral Carter ordered the Defiant to intercept at a safe distance. "Keep weapons systems offline," he instructed. "Let's not appear hostile." The alien fleet ignored the Defiant completely. They continued toward Mars, silent and purposeful. When they were just beyond lunar orbit distance from Mars, they opened fire. The first blast vaporized the colony's communication array. The second destroyed the water reclamation facility. People ran screaming as atmosphere vented from damaged habitats. "Battle stations," Carter shouted, rushing to the Defiant's bridge. The crew scrambled to their positions as the ship's engines roared to life. "What about evacuation?" asked Lieutenant Kelly Davis, her hands flying over the tactical console. "No time," Carter replied grimly. "We're the only thing standing between those ships and total annihilation of the colony." The Defiant rose from its dock as explosions bloomed across Colony 1's surface. The alien vessels, 7 in total, continued their methodical destruction, seemingly unconcerned by the human warship approaching them. "Weapons hot," Carter ordered. "Target the lead vessel." The Defiant's railguns fired, accelerating metal slugs to incredible speeds. They impacted the lead alien ship, and to everyone's surprise, punched straight through its shields. The alien vessel shuddered. It turned toward the Defiant, finally acknowledging the human presence. "They didn't expect us to hurt them," Carter realized aloud. "They thought we were defenseless." The next few minutes became chaos. The alien ships moved with frightening coordination, surrounding the Defiant. But they had clearly not anticipated meaningful resistance. Their tactics seemed designed for intimidation rather than combat against a capable opponent. Carter exploited this. "Fire all banks, rotating targets," he commanded. The Defiant's weapons struck again and again. 2 more alien vessels erupted in silent explosions, their strange technology creating cascading failures when damaged in key areas. But the humans' victory was short-lived. The remaining 4 ships adapted quickly. A beam of blue light sliced through the Defiant's hull, destroying its main power core. "Emergency power," Carter shouted as alarms blared. "Get us out of here." With the last reserves of power, the Defiant limped away from Mars, carrying the surviving crew and terrible news. Behind them, Colony 1 burned. Of the 5,000 colonists, fewer than 300 made it to emergency shelters. As Earth received the devastating transmission, humanity faced an awful truth. They were not alone in the universe, and their first contact had been with something hostile, powerful, and utterly without mercy. The Galactic Consortium had arrived, and they had not come to welcome humanity. They had come to conquer. 5 years passed since the attack on Mars. Earth had changed. The blue planet, once filled with nations competing against each other, was now united by a common enemy. The skies that once held only weather satellites and communication arrays now bristled with defense platforms and warships. General Lisa Martinez walked through the underground facility known as Deep Mountain. The base stretched for miles beneath the Rocky Mountains. Here, the brightest minds on Earth worked day and night to prepare humanity for war. "The new Jackson-class destroyers are ready for deployment," said Colonel Frank Wilson, falling into step beside her. 12 ships, each with twice the firepower of the Defiant. Lisa nodded. "And the shield technology. Dr. Rivera believes he's found something important. He's waiting for you in Lab 7. They passed through 5 security checkpoints before reaching the laboratory. Inside, Dr. Alan Rivera hunched over a workstation surrounded by holographic displays showing alien technology schematics. The scientist looked tired. Dark circles hung under his eyes, and his clothes were rumpled from sleeping in the lab. "General Martinez," he said, straightening up, "I've found it. The flaw in their shields." He pointed to a complex diagram. "The consortium ships use a layered defense system. We knew that. What we didn't know is that the layers pulse in a predictable pattern. There's a millisecond gap between pulses. Can we exploit that?" Lisa asked. Alan smiled for the first time in months. "We already have. The new weapon system is ready for testing." Across the room, a prototype railgun sat on a testing platform. It looked like a normal weapon except for a small device attached to its firing mechanism. "The timing module synchronizes our shots with their shield pulses," Alan explained. "In simulations, it increases penetration by 300%. Before Lisa could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed as a voice came over the speakers. "All personnel to battle stations. Consortium fleet detected approaching lunar orbit. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Lisa's comm unit buzzed. The president was calling an emergency meeting of the Defense Council. "Get that weapon on my ships," she ordered as she rushed out. In the command center, large screens showed the approaching alien fleet. 23 vessels, much larger than those that attacked Mars. "They've learned," said Admiral Paul Jackson, commander of Earth's orbital defense. "These ships are warships, not the patrol craft they sent before." The president, a former Navy officer named George Miller, studied the tactical display. "How long until they're in range?" 2 hours, sir," Paul replied. "Our lunar base is already evacuating." George turned to Lisa. "General, what's our status?" 16 destroyers in orbit, 30 defense platforms online. The lunar base has minimal defenses, but most personnel should be clear before the aliens arrive." She paused. "Sir, Dr. Rivera has developed a weapon that might penetrate their shields effectively." "Deploy it," George ordered without hesitation, "and implement contingency Delta." Lisa's eyes widened. "Sir, Delta would mean—" "I know what it means, General, but we need to show them we're not the same species they attacked 5 years ago." Contingency Delta was the most aggressive defense plan developed after the Mars attack. It called for allowing the alien fleet to commit to an attack run, then springing a trap using Earth's newly developed gravitational mines. As the meeting concluded, Lisa returned to the hangar where shuttles waited to take key personnel to the orbital command station. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her. 5 years of preparation would be tested today. From space, Earth still looked peaceful. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown landmasses. But beneath that serene surface, humanity had transformed. The species that had spent millennia fighting itself had found a new purpose in facing an external threat. The consortium was coming to finish what they started at Mars. They expected to find a primitive species cowering in fear. Instead, they would find humanity waiting, united and armed with the very technology the aliens had used against them, now turned back upon its creators. The resistance was ready. The battle for Earth lasted 3 days. When it ended, 11 alien ships had been destroyed, but the cost was high. 8 human destroyers lost, millions dead in orbital strikes that reached the surface. The consortium retreated, but everyone knew they would return with a larger force. Commander Samantha Wells stood in the briefing room of the stealth ship Ghost. Around her, 15 men and women in black combat suits listened intently. These were the best soldiers Earth had to offer, pulled from special forces units around the world. "Our mission is simple but critical," Samantha said, pointing to a hologram of Jupiter's moon Europa. "Intelligence shows the consortium has established a forward base here. This base houses their fleet coordination AI core. Without it, their ships can't maintain the perfect formation tactics that overwhelmed our defenses." Lieutenant Joseph Kim raised his hand. "How do we get in?" "Europa is an ice moon. There's nowhere to hide on approach. We use their own technology against them," Samantha replied. "The engineers have modified a captured consortium shuttle. We'll approach using their IFF signatures." "And if they spot us?" asked Sergeant Maria Rodriguez. "Then we fight our way in," Samantha said simply. "Failure is not an option." The Ghost left Earth orbit that night, its experimental stealth systems making it nearly invisible to conventional sensors. The journey to Europa would take 2 weeks, even with the advanced engines reverse-engineered from alien technology. During the voyage, the team trained in simulated consortium environments. Communications specialist Eric Johnson mastered the alien computer interfaces. He would be crucial for extracting the AI core once they breached the base. Their systems use a language based on mathematical principles. Eric explained to Samantha during a rare break. "It's elegant, almost beautiful." Samantha studied his face. "You admire their technology." "I can appreciate the design while hating what they've done with it," he replied. "Understanding your enemy is the first step to defeating them." When they arrived at Europa, the Ghost slipped into orbit behind the moon, hidden from the base's sensors. The captured shuttle launched with the strike team aboard. "IFF signals active," reported the pilot. "We're broadcasting as a maintenance vessel." Tense minutes passed as they approached the surface. The base came into view, a sprawling complex built into the icy crust. Metal structures gleamed under the distant sun. "They're hailing us," Eric said, fingers flying over the alien controls. "I'm responding with the authentication codes we captured." A pause. Then, "We're cleared to land." The shuttle touched down on a designated pad. Armed guards waited, but they didn't seem suspicious. "Remember," Samantha whispered as they prepared to disembark, "we have 15 minutes before their security rotation changes, and they realize something's wrong." The team moved with practiced efficiency. The guards were neutralized silently. They entered the base through a maintenance airlock. Inside, the alien architecture was disorienting. Curved walls and strange proportions designed for non-human bodies. But they had studied the layouts extensively. "This way to the core," Eric said, following the map on his wrist device. They encountered resistance at the 3rd checkpoint. Laser fire erupted from alien weapons. 2 team members fell immediately. "Push forward," Samantha ordered, returning fire with weapons specifically designed to penetrate consortium armor. The firefight intensified as they approached the central chamber. Alarms blared in an alien tone. Eric was hit in the shoulder, but kept moving. When they reached the core, a crystalline structure pulsing with light, more guards poured in from side corridors. "Cover me," Eric said, rushing to the interface terminal. "I need 2 minutes." The team formed a defensive perimeter. Samantha watched the entrances fill with enemies. "We won't all make it out," she realized aloud. Eric worked frantically at the terminal, his injured arm hanging limp. "Almost there," he called. When the core finally detached from its housing, Eric turned to Samantha. "Go. I'll hold them off." "That's not the plan," she objected. Eric smiled grimly. "Plans change. Someone needs to trigger the overload sequence as a distraction." Before she could argue, he pressed the core into her hands and pushed her toward the exit. The last she saw of Eric Johnson was his silhouette against the blue light of the alien technology. firing steadily as she led the survivors back to the shuttle. When the Europa base exploded behind their escaping shuttle, Samantha knew Eric had succeeded in his final mission. 3 months after the Europa mission, humanity prepared for its biggest battle yet. The stolen Ag Core had revealed vital information about consortium tactics and weaknesses. Dr. Rivera and his team worked day and night to integrate the alien technology with human systems. Captain Daniel Freeman stood on the bridge of the U.S. Vanguard, the largest warship ever built by human hands. Around him, 200 ships of various sizes formed the Earth Defense Fleet. They waited in the shadow of Saturn, hidden among its rings. "All ships report ready, Captain," said Navigation Officer Linda Clark. Her fingers moved steadily over her console despite the tension. Daniel nodded. "The trap is set. Now we wait." Intelligence from the captured AI indicated the consortium would send their main invasion fleet through this sector. The gravity mines were in position, invisible until activated. The new shield-penetrating weapons were installed on every ship. "Contact," reported Sensor Officer Peter Gonzalez. "Multiple vessels entering the system. Count is 60. No, 80. Still climbing." The bridge crew watched as the holographic display filled with red dots. The consortium fleet was massive. Over 300 ships. "They've committed everything they have," Daniel said quietly. "Just as we hoped." He opened a channel to the fleet. "All vessels maintain position. Remember your training. Remember Mars. Today we show them humanity will not be conquered." The alien fleet moved with perfect precision toward Saturn, unaware of the human ships waiting. They followed exactly the path predicted by the captured eye. "They're entering the minefield," Peter announced. Daniel took a deep breath. "Activate the mines." Throughout the rings of Saturn, hundreds of gravity mines switched on simultaneously. Each created a small but intense gravitational field, disrupting the carefully plotted course of the consortium ships. Their tight formations shattered as vessels were pulled in different directions. "Fleet Command, this is Vanguard Actual," Daniel spoke into the comm. "Execute attack pattern Delta. Weapons free." 200 human ships emerged from hiding, weapons firing in perfect synchronization. The new penetrator technology punched through alien shields with devastating effect. The consortium fleet scrambled to respond, but without their AI coordinator, their reactions were slow and disorganized. For the first time, they faced an enemy who understood their tactics and had counters prepared. "Target the command ships," Daniel ordered. "Groups 3 and 4, focus on their left flank." The battle raged for hours. Human ships took heavy losses, but the consortium suffered worse. Their rigid hierarchy couldn't adapt to the chaos created by the gravity mines. On the Vanguard's bridge, Daniel watched the tactical display as ship after ship, on both sides, winked out of existence. "Sir," Linda called out, voice tight with emotion, "look at Sector 7. A group of alien vessels was breaking formation, turning away from Saturn." "They're retreating," Peter confirmed, disbelief in his voice. More consortium ships began to disengage. Their perfect formation dissolved completely as the retreat became general. When the last alien ship jumped away, the bridge erupted in cheers. Daniel allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before addressing the crew. "Stand down from battle stations. Begin rescue operations for damaged vessels. I want casualty reports from all ships." The victory had come at a high cost. 47 human ships destroyed, thousands of lives lost. But they had destroyed nearly a quarter of the consortium fleet. Later, in his quarters, Daniel recorded his personal log. "Today we proved humanity cannot be easily conquered. The consortium underestimated us again. They came expecting the same primitives they attacked at Mars. Instead, they found an enemy who learned, adapted, and turned their own technology against them." He paused, looking at the stars through his viewport. "For the first time since first contact, I believe we might survive this war. But I worry about what we'll become in the process. To defeat monsters, are we becoming monsters ourselves?" As the human fleet limped back toward Earth for repairs, news of the victory spread. Humanity celebrated its first major triumph against the aliens. But in the darkness between stars, the Consortium Council gathered for an emergency session, divided by an emotion they rarely experienced. News of the Saturn victory spread across Earth and its remaining colonies. For the first time in years, people dared to hope. But in the highest levels of government, a new development brought both opportunity and concern. Catherine Blackwood, chief diplomat of the United Earth government, sat alone in a secure room beneath Geneva. The message that played before her had arrived via an unmanned probe that appeared suddenly in Earth orbit. The alien on the screen looked different from the consortium species humans had encountered before. Its skin was pale blue, with delicate patterns that shifted like clouds. People of Earth, the alien spoke in halting but clear English. I am Ambassador Zextal of the Trillary. My species wishes to speak with you privately, away from the other consortium members. We can help each other. Catherine replayed the message 3 times, studying every detail. The consortium, it seemed, was not as united as they had appeared. 2 weeks later, Catherine's shuttle approached a small, unmarked space station in neutral territory near the asteroid belt. Security Officer Greg Pierce checked his weapon one last time. I still think this is a trap, he said. Catherine adjusted her diplomatic insignia. Maybe. But division among our enemies is too valuable to ignore. Inside the station, Ambassador Zextal waited with 2 aides. Up close, the shifting patterns on their skin seemed to convey emotions, currently showing what Catherine interpreted as anxiety. Thank you for coming, Zextal said. We must speak quickly. The Vorden faction does not know we are here. Vorden? Catherine asked. The dominant species in the consortium, the ones who attacked your Mars colony. They believe all non-consortium species must be either assimilated or eliminated. Zextal's skin patterns darkened. My people were among the first they conquered, 300 of your years ago. Why reach out to us now? Catherine asked. Your victory at Saturn changed everything. The Vorden are pushing to use planet-killer weapons against Earth. They fear you, but some of us see another path. Zextal activated a holographic display showing star maps and fleet positions. The consortium has subjugated 17 species across this region of the galaxy. Those who resist are typically destroyed, but your people have done what none have accomplished before. You've bloodied them, made them doubt. Greg tensed as one of the Trillary aides moved suddenly, but the alien was only retrieving a data crystal. This contains the location of the consortium's central command world, Zextal said, offering the crystal. The Vorden keep their leadership caste and main fleet control systems there. Catherine stared at the crystal. Why would you betray your own consortium? It is not betrayal to seek freedom, Zextal replied. The Trillary remember life before the consortium. We want that again. Many other species feel the same. So it's rebellion you're after, Catherine said. We prefer to call it realignment. Zextal's skin patterns formed intricate swirls, but we cannot act openly yet. We need the Vorden leadership destabilized first. Catherine accepted the crystal. And you think humans will do your dirty work? I think humans have already proven they will fight rather than submit. I am merely suggesting where your fight might be most effective. As Catherine prepared to leave, Zextal added, your people should know. The Vorden are building something at the edge of your solar system, a weapon designed specifically to break Earth's defenses. Back on Earth, the Security Council debated the information from the Trillary. Some argued it was misinformation meant to lure Earth's forces into a trap. Others saw it a genuine opportunity. General Martinez studied the data on the consortium command world. If this is accurate, a targeted strike could cripple their entire power structure. President Miller looked troubled. But can we trust these Trillary? Trust isn't necessary, Catherine replied. Their self-interest aligns with ours for now, and our intelligence confirms they're building something big near Pluto. The president's eyes hardened. Then we have no choice. Prepare Operation Endgame. If they're planning to destroy Earth, we'll strike at their heart first." As the meeting ended, Catherine found herself wondering about Zextal's true motives. The Trilari clearly wanted to use humanity as a weapon against their oppressors. But perhaps being used was acceptable if it helped Earth survive. The game had changed. No longer just a fight for survival. Humanity now stood at the center of a potential galactic civil war. The stealth carrier Horizon drifted silently through the darkness of space, its advanced cloaking technology making it nearly invisible even to consortium sensors. Aboard the ship, Major Ryan Peters and Lieutenant Olivia Santos made final preparations with their team of 12 elite soldiers. "The neural disruptor is ready," Dr. Rivera said, carefully securing a device the size of a small backpack. "Remember, it needs to be placed within 1 kilometer of the Vordan leadership chamber to be effective." Ryan nodded, checking his combat suit one last time. "And you're sure this won't harm the other species?" "The pulse is calibrated specifically to the Vordan neural patterns," Dr. Rivera explained. "It will temporarily paralyze their higher brain functions without harming other species." The intelligence from the Trilari was essential for this targeting. Captain Heather Morgan, the Horizon's commander, entered the launch bay. "We've reached the outer defense perimeter of Consortium Prime. No sign they've detected us yet." "Then it's time," Ryan said, addressing his team. "You all know the mission. We get in, place the disruptor, and get out. The device will activate automatically after a 30-minute delay, giving us time to clear the area." Olivia checked her weapons, and if we're discovered, secondary objective becomes destroying as much of their command structure as possible before they can organize a response. The team loaded into 2 small insertion craft. These ships, barely larger than shuttles, carried the most advanced stealth technology Earth had developed. They would make a high-speed approach to the surface, using the planet's frequent electrical storms as cover. As they prepared to launch, Captain Morgan offered a final word. "The entire human race is counting on you. Good hunting." The insertion was smoother than expected. The consortium world churned with massive storms, perfect cover for their approach. They landed in a remote area 20 kilometers from the command center. "Move out," Ryan ordered. "Stay in formation and watch for security drones." The planet's surface was alien and hostile. Purple vegetation grew in twisted patterns, and the air would have been toxic without their sealed suits. Strange creatures scurried away as they passed. They encountered the first resistance 5 kilometers from their target. A patrol of Vordan guards spotted them as they crossed an open area. "Take them down quietly," Ryan commanded. Olivia moved with incredible speed, her enhanced combat suit multiplying her strength and reflexes. She neutralized 3 guards before they could sound an alarm. 8 minutes until the next patrol passes, she reported, checking the data from their scanner. They pressed on, moving through increasingly dense security. The command center loomed ahead, a massive structure of gleaming metal and strange crystalline materials. "There's our entry point," Ryan said, pointing to a maintenance hatch. The intelligence from the Trilari was proving accurate. Inside, the alien architecture was disorienting. Gravity seemed to shift subtly between sections, and the lighting pulsed in patterns the human eyes found difficult to track. "Life signs ahead," warned Sergeant Carl Watson, checking his scanner. "Looks like a concentration of Vordan." "That must be the leadership chamber," Ryan replied. "Perfect place for the disruptor." They set up in a maintenance shaft directly below the chamber. Dr. Rivera had assured them the device would penetrate the flooring materials. As Olivia secured the disruptor in place, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. "They've detected us," Carl said, checking his tactical display. Security forces converging from all directions. Ryan made a quick decision. Change of plans. Set the disruptor for immediate activation. We'll fight our way out through the North Corridor. Olivia adjusted the device. Done. We have 3 minutes before it activates. The team moved quickly, engaging consortium forces as they went. 2 of Ryan's soldiers fell in the first exchange. Another was wounded as they reached the outer perimeter. "We're not going to make the extraction point," Olivia said grimly, firing her weapon at pursuing guards. Ryan knew she was right. New plan. Head for the communication array. If we can't get out, we'll make sure Earth knows the mission succeeded. As they fought their way toward the array, the disruptor activated. Throughout the command center, Vorten leaders collapsed as their neural systems were overwhelmed by the precisely targeted pulse. Ryan and Olivia reached the communication array with only 4 team members remaining. They barricaded the doors and established a connection to Earth. Operation Endgame successful. Ryan transmitted as consortium forces hammered at the doors. Vorten leadership neutralized. The heart of the enemy is exposed. As the transmission ended, Ryan looked at his remaining team. They understood this was likely their final stand. "It was an honor," he said simply. 3 weeks after Operation Endgame, Earth received a message from the consortium. It came on all frequencies, in perfect English, requesting immediate negotiations. The neural disruptor had worked better than anyone had hoped. Without their leadership cast, the Vorten were struggling to maintain control over the consortium. President Andrew Harrison looked out over the emergency session of the United Nations. Representatives from every nation on Earth had gathered to decide humanity's response. "For the first time," he said, "we are in a position of strength. The consortium is asking us for peace talks instead of demanding our surrender." Secretary of State Grace Miller stepped forward. "Our intelligence suggests their fleet is in disarray. The Trilari and at least 2 other subject species are actively resisting Vorten control. The Empire is fracturing." The hall buzzed with excited conversation. After years of desperate defense, the possibility of victory seemed suddenly real. "What do they actually want?" asked the representative from Brazil. Grace activated a holographic display showing the message. "They're proposing a ceasefire and formal diplomatic relations. They want to send a delegation to Earth to discuss terms." "It's a trap," said the Russian representative. "They want to locate our leadership for a final strike." "We don't think so," Grace replied. The message was verified by our Trilari contacts. The consortium genuinely wants to negotiate. They've never faced a situation like this before. President Harrison raised his hand for silence. "We have an opportunity not just to end this war, but to reshape our relationship with the galaxy. I propose we accept their request for negotiations, but on our terms, not theirs." The session lasted for hours as the details were debated. Eventually, they reached consensus. Earth would agree to peace talks, but they would be held in the neutral territory of the asteroid belt, with strict security protocols. 5 days later, a consortium diplomatic vessel arrived at the designated coordinates. It was escorted by 6 Earth warships, weapons locked on at all times. The delegation that emerged from the alien ship surprised the human representatives. It included not just Vorten, but members of 4 other consortium species, including 2 Trilari. "Welcome to the negotiation zone," President Harrison said formally as they gathered in the hastily constructed meeting facility. "I am President Harrison of the United Earth Government. This is Secretary Miller and our chief negotiator, Jason Cooper." The lead alien, a Vorten with elaborate markings indicating high rank, bowed slightly. "I am Supreme Counselor of Ex Mora. The consortium thanks you for agreeing to these talks." Jason studied the aliens carefully. The Vorten's movements seemed stiff, uncertain. The neural disruptor had clearly affected more than just their leadership. "Let's be clear about one thing," Jason said. "These are not surrender negotiations. Earth is not interested in becoming a subject world in your consortium." Vexmore's translator device clicked rapidly as he responded. "Of course. We are here to discuss partnership. Your species has proven itself formidable. The consortium would welcome humanity as a new member." Grace exchanged glances with Jason. This was unexpected. They had anticipated demands for Earth to stand down, not an invitation to join. "Before we discuss any such arrangement," Jason replied, "we need accountability for past actions, the unprovoked attack on Mars, the attempted invasion of Earth. the deaths of millions of humans. The Vortons seemed uncomfortable. Those were unfortunate misunderstandings, standard protocol for introducing new species to the galactic community. By attacking them, Grace asked incredulously. By demonstrating the futility of resistance, another consortium member explained, as if this were perfectly reasonable. Most species quickly recognize the benefits of joining the consortium after a brief show of force. President Harrison's expression hardened. Then you fundamentally misunderstood humanity, and that misunderstanding has cost both our peoples dearly. As the first day of negotiations concluded, Jason met privately with President Harrison and Secretary Miller. They still don't get it, Jason said. They see this as a temporary setback, not a fundamental challenge to their way of life. Harrison nodded grimly. Then perhaps it's time we showed them exactly what humanity stands for. Outside, chaos spread through the consortium command structure as the leadership caste remained paralyzed. For the first time in centuries, the mighty consortium faced a crisis it had no protocol to address. The Grand Hall of the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva fell silent as Chief Negotiator Jason Cooper stood. The consortium delegation sat across the table, their postures showing a mix of anger and disbelief. After 3 days of talks, we have reached our decision, Jason announced. His voice was calm but firm. Earth rejects your proposal for membership in the Galactic Consortium. The lead alien negotiator, Supreme Counselor Vex Mora of the Vorton, leaned forward. His translator device clicked as he spoke. This is most unusual. No species has ever refused membership. The benefits we offer are not worth the cost, Jason interrupted. We've examined your history carefully. We've spoken with the Trilari and the other species you've welcomed into your family. We know what happens to those who join you. President Andrew Harrison stood next to Jason. We are not interested in being junior partners in a relationship where you control our resources, limit our expansion, and decide our fate. The consortium representatives exchanged glances. This was not proceeding according to any expected scenario. For thousands of years, they had followed the same pattern. Attack, demonstrate overwhelming force, then offer the survivors a chance to join the consortium as a client species. You misunderstand, another consortium member said. We only wish to guide younger species toward peaceful development. The alternative is continued conflict. Jason smiled thinly. Is that a threat? Because humanity has proven we can match your military strength when necessary. He activated a holographic display showing the latest Earth fleet, hundreds of ships incorporating both human ingenuity and reverse-engineered consortium technology. The message was clear. Humanity was prepared to continue fighting if forced. We don't want war, Jason continued. But we won't surrender our independence either. Here are our terms. The consortium will withdraw completely from the Sol system and all human colonies. You will provide reparations for the unprovoked attack on Mars and subsequent human casualties. You will share your star maps and technological databases. Impossible. Vex Mora hissed. No member species has ever. We are not asking to be a member species, President Harrison stated firmly. We are establishing the terms of our peaceful coexistence as equals. In the observation gallery, Ambassador Zextal of the Trilari watched with fascination. The humans were doing something no species had dared in living memory. They were treating the mighty consortium as equals rather than superiors. The consortium delegation requested a recess to consult with their leadership. When they returned hours later, their demeanor had changed. We can offer compromise, Vex Mora said. Limited membership with special privileges. You would retain more autonomy than other species. We would share some technologies, not all. Jason exchanged glances with the president, then stood. Perhaps I wasn't clear. We are not negotiating for better terms within your system. We are walking away from it entirely. He gestured to the doors. Our ships will escort you to the edge of our solar system. Do not return without an acceptance of our full terms. As the stunned consortium representatives were led out, Zextal approached Jason. You realize what you've done? The Trilari asked. No one has ever simply walked away from the consortium. Then it's about time someone did, Jason replied. In the weeks that followed, something remarkable happened. The Trilari formally broke from the consortium, declaring independence. Then the Nerovians did the same. Then the Galth, species that had been subjugated for centuries, found courage in humanity's example. A new alliance formed, the Sovereign Systems Accord, based on principles of mutual respect and true cooperation, with Earth as a founding member. Technology and resources were shared freely among members, strengthening all. When the consortium's final message came, pleading for Earth to reconsider, to help them rebuild their collapsing empire, Jason Cooper's response was brief and historic. We're not interested in joining your family of species. We've seen how you treat your family. Instead, we've found true allies who understand that cooperation cannot exist without respect for sovereignty. The era of the consortium is over. The age of freedom has begun. As the consortium emissaries departed Earth for the final time, they finally understood their greatest miscalculation. They had mistaken humanity's previous technological limitations for weakness, when in fact, they had awakened the most dangerous force in the galaxy, a species that valued freedom above all else, and would rather walk away than live on its knees.